Hey, good afternoon. Tom Ginn here. G Force. G is for gratitude. Gratitude is a very powerful principles to incorporate in your life. And when we understand, and it's a growth process like so many things, that, many times we look at gratitude when we look at it under the surface and, we say thank you or grateful for, the cup of coffee, the sunshine, or the moon that shined last night. But got to go deeper and make gratitude an integral part of your life. Now, easier said than done. Easier said than done. But gratitude does empower your fullest potential, both in your personal life, your financial life, your spiritual life. No matter what you're seeking, gratitude negates negativity, gives you a better and a different perspective, whether it be positive or negative. It just gives you a chance to settle down so you respond versus react. So when we understand taking that moment of gratitude in all situations and reflect upon it, write it, it becomes part of who you are. So gratitude is a very powerful principle. I use it as one of my foundational principles in my coaching program. And it's so important that you really understand it. And I'd be glad to have dialogue with you. I do offer free consultations. I have a number of programs I can introduce you to. If you're looking for a change in life, whether it be on a personal side, career, business, sales, I have programs that using the same principles and applying them to the objective you're looking for, you'll get different results, called thinking into results. So the results we get in our life are directly related to our attitudes, our thinking, our belief systems at a subconscious level. And if you want to change the results, it's not going to be happening just because you read a book, go to a seminar, go to a workshop. I've done those for years. It wasn't until I started studying these principles, had a coach and a mentor to help me recognize my limiting beliefs, because you can't outperform one's belief or self-image. And they were my stumbling blocks. And I wouldn't be doing this live stream if I hadn't had coaching and belief, and that I was capable, and I wasn't worried about what people are thinking, or am I, whatever image that we have of ourselves on the other side of a camera. They're just figments of your imagination. But it was only through coaching it gave me the confidence to be able to move in this space in that area. So if I wasn't involved in personal development and in teaching these principles, I wouldn't be here today. There's absolutely no way, because my belief system, my self-image, my confidence would have never supported doing live. But I just want to, if you want to reach out to me, you can contact me. I do workshops, I do seminars from time to time. My calendar link is there as well. Please reach out to me. Be glad to answer any questions, give you any guidance with what I'm doing. But today's program I want to get into here in a moment, I've got a couple announcements, is The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. And yesterday we covered in chapter 13 getting in the right business, and it closed out the chapter with gratitude. When you study success in any person's walk of life, you'll find out one of the common principles they recognize and apply is gratitude. Being grateful for all, whether things are going good or going bad, because everything has a place of perspective. What can I learn from it? What can I take away from this? What could I do differently? With a whole different response versus react. And those are learned things. And some people have an innate ability to do it. They grew up in cultures or in families or environments that was demonstrated, and that's how they learned it. And one of my great friends in life, Dr. John Kane, a superintendent of schools, he says, remember, Tom, who you are today is what you saw your parents do. Not what they said you should be doing, but what they did. We take on that manifestation of what we see. So for you to grow and make a difference in the world, as you become better, people will see you becoming better, and they're going to start replicating and duplicating your behavior, especially in your family. If you have a business, they're going to pick up on that. They're going to start doing what you say. Hey, Ron, I did get your message. Thanks much for the voice message. Enjoy the brownies. And you're an awesome guy. Now I know somebody that actually has a Rolls Royce. I believe that was your Rolls Royce in the picture, but but it was an awesome picture with you and JR. Appreciate you being a guest in the past on Elevate Your Profits. So make it a great day. And Robert just come on. Well, Robert, we look forward to you doing some live streaming. You bring a lot of new perspective and in this, so definitely look forward to do that. Be glad to help you any way I can. Look forward to you doing a live stream. And Robert says, hello. Hey, tag and share this out with the audience. You never know who's going to benefit from the message. I'm just a messenger. I've applied these principles in life, and it's changed my life. My whole goal and passion in everything I do in all my businesses is to improve and leave people in a better place than I encountered it. And so that today, I also want to make another announcement. I'll still be doing G-Force on Mondays, Wednesdays, some sort of lessons, and guests when I get them scheduled on Fridays. But I'm switching up the times. We'll be going to noon Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern, because I've had some requests and people said, I'd love to be able to come in, but it's right in my busiest part of my morning, or whatever the case may be. So jump on, turn on your notifications. It's going to be noonish every day, depending on what's happening prior to me coming in here. But it's going to be around noon. I'm going to try to be consistent as I can on that and to share some of the teachings. Just got a couple more chapters out of this book, The Science of Getting Rich. But before I do, I want to play a short video because it's our nature to seek more. It's our nature. It's within every human being to gain more happiness, more resources. And through gratitude and understanding the principles of getting rich, it's not just your bank account. Yeah, some things we relate to. The more money we have, the more we can do if we have the right frame. I just got my camera out of focus. There we go. Sorry for that. So the Science of Getting Rich, there's a free webinar. I just encourage you to, here's the link. It's a bit.ly link. You just make note of that, copy that. And it's about an hour free webinar put on by Bob Proctor. He's going to dive into some of the fundamentals of this book, The Science of Getting Rich. And I always like to be in full disclosure. If you want to take it to another level, there's going to be an offer to take the Science of Getting Rich course, which I have taken and applied in my life through the Proctor Gallagher Institute. I highly encourage that. If you really want to take your game the next place in life at a higher level, enroll in that program. It's self-directed, self-studied. A lot of great resources are in the program, and you're learning for it. In my opinion, one of the best in prosperity thinking is Bob Proctor. And I'm going to just play this quick. Put up this here. Thanks, Robert, for your perspective there. Yeah, just share out with your network to get this message out. But I'm going to play this quick video real quick, and then we'll get into the lesson today.
The Science of Getting Rich is an exact formula, a relationship between you and what can be. What do you want to become? Who do you want to be? How do you really want to live? The Science of Getting Rich. It's time you learned the formula.
Yeah, just encourage you, invest an hour of your time. That's how we make changes. Make those investments for growth. It's maybe one of the best hours you've ever spent. You never know, depending where you're at and where you want to go. Well, today I'm going to get into a chapter that's dear to my heart. And I think I want to share this and be authentic with you on the front end is up until numbers of years ago, most of my life was around being self-centered. What's in it for me? How, it's about me. It's about me in every aspect of my life. Now, I did exercise some of these principles. I wasn't totally aware of it, but when I look back, it was about me. And it didn't advance me where I should be in life, in personal development and in growth. And it's only through humility and understanding can you make a change. And when we understand this principle of leaving others in the place of increase, impression of increase, and what does that really mean? Life becomes richer. Life becomes richer, not only for you, but those around you. And for those around you. So I'm going to cover some principles with that. I didn't really understand this until I started getting into the personal development coaching arena and doing some self-study and reflection on this. It really came to me when I become aware. It's only through awareness do we recognize our strengths, our weaknesses, things that we need to work on to make a better impact in the world. But through this personal development study and studying this book and studying some other things in my coaching program from Bob Proctor, did I really understand that I was self-centered. And I still lean into that. I have to be honest with you. Those paradigms is still there, but I'm continuing working on it. And when I first really became aware of the power of impression of increase is we have a local farmer's market. It was in the summertime. My wife and I, we just started the studying of Think and Grow Rich, Thinking the Results program. And we're talking about, the lessons about what is leaving people in a better place than you met them, the impression of increase. So I went to the farmer's market, not to go down. I had no specific intention other than get a house, a beautiful summer morning. We've got a great place where our farmer market is in our community. And as I was walking around, just checking the vendors out and just watching, engage with a few people here and there, but I had to stop. Something caused me, and I started to notice something. That people were walking down the rows of vendors, looking at their wares, picking up stuff, dialoguing. And suddenly I just noticed as they were coming up to another table, they sort of veered out and around this table and moved around further down the row or took the turn to the next aisle. And I just watched. I said, this is interesting. Because they were pretty much going down, talking to every vendor, but everybody was going around this table. And there was a young girl there, probably, if I'm thinking correctly, she was maybe 10, 11, or 12 in that age range. She was Down syndrome. And she was full of energy, full of smiles. But as these people were walking by, keep in mind, people do not know how to deal with something they're not familiar with, how to communicate something that's unfamiliar to them, and they will avoid. And they were avoiding her. And her excitement, enthusiasm. Now, I didn't realize this was her mother's booth. Her mother had stepped off. And I just observed what was happening. I could see her energy. And the more it was going on, her energy her body expressions was subsiding. I said, very interesting. So I watched this for several minutes. It just wasn't just, I really took and absorbed it and took it in. And then I walked up to the table and I engaged a young lady. And I don't recall her name off the top of my head, but the moment I came, she was from this high level watcher and she was down to this level. The moment I came up and engaged her and said, hello, what's your name? Did I see an immediate increase in her energy, her body language, her excitement came up. And I started talking with the young lady, asked her about her name and, who's is this do you make these soaps? It was one of those tables where they had salt balls and homemade soaps and, all that type of stuff. I had no intention to buy anything. I probably should have more intentionality to get things like that from my wife, but that wasn't why I went there. So I'm talking to her and I says, can you share a little bit about, I was engaging her, saw she had a strong passion and she started sharing me how the salt balls are made and the fragrances and all this. And just watched. But I noticed something. I felt something. I looked down the aisle. Then there was her mother just watching and observing. Then her mother came up. And I asked the young lady, can you share a little bit about all this? And she was explaining everything. She's bringing product out, putting on the table, and I was smelling it, and I was engaged. And she didn't have to sell me. I said, my wife would really like some of this. What would you recommend? And she came back with 2 little baskets, 2 little bundles of stuff. And it's told me, well, this one has lavender and all. She went through the entire thing. And I says, I would like the lavender. My wife loves lavender. And you should have seen how she responded, how she just bubbled up. Because I engaged with her, I was leaving her in a better place. I let her know how great a job she did sharing with me and her passion. And just leaving her in a better place. And, those are the things that in my life bring back some of the best memories. There was nothing about me in it. It was all about that young lady and that she was being bypassed. People didn't know how to engage with her. And I just complimented her sincerely of how wonderful my experience of meeting this young lady. And I wished her the best day ever. Then her mom came up and I engaged with her. It was her mother's booth. And it was such a great thing, because those are the things that can turn somebody's life around, gives them continued hope, gives them value, that somebody's really sincerely engaging with it, leaving you in a better place. And because of that, a sincere transaction occurred in 2 ways. One was monetary, the other was leaving that person. And guess what? I came away with more than anyone experienced in a long time. Now I understood the power of leaving people in a better place. And it really comes down, do you see me? Do you hear me? And do you care? From sincere. So I'm going to get into some of the principles of the lesson here today. I got a couple people on here. Robert. Thanks, Robert, for your sharing. Great comments. Again, thank you, Robert. So we're going to jump in to chapter 14. I'm just going to, this chapter here and all these chapters in this book, you really can't just read them once and absorb the full meaning of it. But we talked about picking the right business yesterday, and that no matter what vocation you're in or what business are, whether you're going to be changing or not, so take these principles that we're talking about that and put them in context in the business you're in now, and watch what will happen. We talked a little bit about one of the most important things is taking these lessons and then doing them in a certain way. There's a science behind it. And when you understand that science and some of the principles, you do it with humility. You do it with sincerity. You understand, do you see me? Do you hear me? Do you care? And is that what you're conveying when you meet and engage with people? This is a flaw of mine. Everybody has this flaw. Everybody I can deal with, except those that are really aware of what they do. They want to get their piece in. They want to comment immediately. That's not true presence. My wife is the best I've ever seen at listening and responding appropriately. So there's a certain way to do that to leave people in a better place. The more you can master it, you become the magnet in any area of your life. People want to be around you. You do it with sincerity. You do it with humility. It's coming from your heart. There is giving without an expectation. And we've been around those type of people, and they are magnets in business, in their faith space, or whatever it is. The universe operates by law. If you try to manipulate it for personal gain, it'll fall apart. It will show up. That feeling will come through. See, we got to learn to start doing this in all areas of our communication. All areas of our communication. Today, we have so many ways to communicate with people. Of course, in person, and it seems like that's almost a lost art and a lost thing. Zoom like this, emails, letters, writing, everything we do. How are we communicating, and are we really bringing value, letting people know how much we appreciate them? And we're not in a sense in business transactional 100% of the time. It will happen automatically, but we're in relationship. We're listening, and relationship is not just having a friend. It goes to Maslow, filling some basic needs. Do you see me? Do you hear me? And do you care? And not being judgmental, using humility. And it's important to understand, including myself, including you out there, desire for increase is inherently part of our nature. We want more. We want a better life. We want a better family. We want the best for our kids. We want more. We want more. And there's nothing wrong with that. Having more money is nothing wrong with having more money. It's really, where is it coming from? What are you going to do with the energy? That's money is nothing more than energy. You're just transferring energy in a way to support a cause or whatever. All human activities are based on desire for increase. The author was very clear on that. All activities are based on the desire for increase. People are seeking more food, more clothes, better shelter, more luxury, more beauty, more knowledge, more pleasure. Increase in something, basically more life. Think about it. We're all seeking it. It's in nature with us. The desire to have more, lots of times people think that's selfish, greedy, all sorts of unbelievable things I've heard from people as I coach them or hear their paradigms. The normal desire for increase in wealth, and we hear this all the time, indirectly or directly, wealth is not evil or reprehensible. It's simply desire for more abundant life. It's aspiration. Key word there, aspiration, aspiring for potentiality, more. And keep this in mind. It goes back to Maslow, some things we're talking about here. All men and women are attracted to him, to that person who can give them more of the means of life. Why do we seek out the churches we seek out? We're looking for the more enhanced means of life. Who do we seek out? Who do we counsel with? We're seeking out better means of life. If you are giving better means of life, more fulfillment, more value for their benefit, not yours, you become a magnet. That's part of the science of getting rich. I've seen many people that are talented, more educated, have skills and things like that, but they're self-centered and they wonder why they struggle. And then you got somebody that's not as talented in the same field or not as educated or whatever it is, but they have this sense of caring and providing more for life from a sincere pace, and they outperform that person in business. More riches. See, when we move to this space, we become a creative force. Very important to understand this concept. We become a creative force. And it's only through creativity, it's a different energy. And we're looking always through creativity to make things better, both for ourselves and those around us. You want to develop this and you're not selective, that you make this part of your life, and everybody you encounter, you have a natural, an innate awareness of how to communicate with people differently. Even no matter how small the transaction, this goes into the sense of business, no matter how small the transaction, even if you're only selling a stick of candy to a child, but into the thought of increase, make sure that the customer is impressed with that thought. That sort of goes back to my story dealing with the young girl that was down. Beautiful, 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 natured young lady, full of life, full of excitement. And it was the little thing that just I gave her that attention, complimented her in a sincere manner, left her in a better place. Changed my life. Even when we go to a party, let's say somebody's invited us to an event or a party or a gathering, how do you engage people? Are you engaging them with no thought of business? Or are you just engaging because you care about people? Many times we go into these events, networking groups, it's all about business versus really learning the art and doing things in a certain way. The business will come, but we're too anxious. We want to make it transactional. Evaluate what you're doing in social settings, especially new settings, even in your family settings. Thanksgiving's coming up or the holidays are coming up. Where are you? Are you really in a space of giving? Give the thought of increase. Let a person know that you appreciate their skills, their talents, their beauty in a how would I say it? It'll just be in a sincere way. And what ends up happening, you convey the impression by holding the unshakable faith that you yourself are the way of increase. Goes back to what Dr. Kane said. We want to become what is desirable. They see that you have that spirit of giving and caring, and they recognize you might be the way for them. And by your faith, you are giving them and you're inspiring them and fill and penetrate every action. So when we read these books, we really have to sometimes look at ourselves. What are we doing? Are we applying these principles? Do everything you do in the firm conviction you are advancing personality, and you are giving an advancement to everyone. You're not selective. And even people that irritate me, I always want to make sure that that's my problem. It's not theirs. Many times people that irritate us, we see characteristics that is the mirror of us. We're really upset with ourselves, not them. Okay? You want to make it apparent, and part of it's to everybody you engage. In all circumstances. You have a team. You engage with people with uniformity. You're giving everybody the same energy, whether they are the top performer or the lack performer. You're giving them that. That is so powerful because people see selectivity. People see favoritism. And it's a turnoff. It drives people away. Acknowledge all when you can. Here's something do not boast or brag of your success. I looked in the past. I used to brag and, look at me. I'm boasting and talk about unnecessarily. Now there's a time and place, especially if in an area of instruction, coaching and mentoring. You're illustrating there is a path that you can take to get the increase that you're seeking. But if you're doing it from humility and not boasting, and that was one of my biggest problems. Look at me. That's an insecurity. That's a self-image thing. You're operating true faith, true belief. See, truth manifests itself in a very certain way. And if we move outside of that, people pick up on it. Do you see people avoiding you? Or are you in a group that you can see that I've got something to say or I want to contribute, but you never address them? What's that about? Acknowledge all people. Make an open forum. Let them know it's safe and demonstrate it. Don't be boastful. See, when we see people that are boastful, we many times will find they are secretly doubtful and afraid. You will know. A person does not have to be boastful. Their confidence, their faith, their success, their abundance manifest it in a very unique way. And those are the people we gravitate to. Just words alone will not necessarily communicate this feelings to others. See, if it's coming from your heart, your true nature, people sense it. They pick up on it. I love what Bob Proctor says in selling. They pick up that silent communication. Do you see me? Do you care? And guess what? It works. We communicate more ways than we realize. Sure, the visible, the body language, the tone of voice, the words we use, eye contact, all that stuff. But underlying the thing that's really communicating is that subconscious communication, and people pick up on it. And you wonder why people are either attracted to or move away from you. Always, and I just had a conversation the other day. Always give more than you're getting paid for. You give more than the cash that you take in a transaction. You give more. You give more. You give greater value than the transaction. Sincerely, you will become richer in more ways than we can count. And I'll read this to you. See that you give them a use value greater than the cash value you are taking from them. Very powerful part of this book, The Science of Getting Rich. There's so much here I can dive into. One thing when I was talking with Bob Proctor, understanding how we think and understanding how other people, it can move into an area of manipulation. If you're operating, that's a very dangerous place to go for the people you're engaging with, how hurtful that is, how it'll come back and hurt you. Beware of the insidious temptation to seek for power over other men. We see it today. We look in our politics. I mean, we can just have a whole conversation on that. Manipulation, honor. Don't have to agree, but honor, respect other people in a sincere way. You don't have to agree. In my coaching, I teach you how to neutralize conflict with one simple phrase or two simple phrases. Also goes further into this, become a master of yourself in a positive way. Then you become the master, not in a negative way, a master of your domain and a master of those around you in a non-manipulative and non-competitive way. I hear it all the time with people in business. They're worried about what the competition is, what their prices are. They're trying to find that edge. They're competing. Oh, I got to grind it out. I got to all this stuff. All negative energy. It's resistance to what's naturally going to come to you if you drop that competitive attitude. I want to win. I want to win for a different reason. A lot of other people win. I was a very competitive football player, let me tell you. He didn't want me across the line from you because I had to make sure I was going to win that battle every time. There's very few times in my life did I ever lose a battle on the football field. Very few times. And those times I did, it made me very humble. So, that's a whole different story. But being competitive is okay. but there's also how we use the mindset. The mind that seeks for mastery over others is the competitive mind. That's that domination, manipulation. You're not coming from a space of sincerity. You're coming from your own ego. Ego is going to do one of two things. It's either going to create or destroy. When somebody pointed out my ego is in my way and pointed out those two basic principles, and I started studying that, boy, did I get an awakening. Your ego is there. It's armor. It's protection. If used properly, you grow from it and you don't hurt other people. So your ego is either creative or destructive. And when we come from a place of leaving people in a better place, that's creating an environment. And then in closing, I'm going to read this paragraph. It's a very short one. Beware of the competitive mind. No better statement of the principle of creative action can be formulated than the favorite declaration of the late Golden Rule, Jones of Toledo. What I want for myself, I want for everybody. That sums it up. That last statement, the Golden Rule by Jones of Toledo, late great Jones of Toledo. What I want for myself, I want for everybody. That's the impression of increase. So I encourage you to get this book, study. Again, the announcements we'll be doing Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at noon Central Time. I appreciate everybody to come on, Robert and Ron, share this out, and I'm going to make sure in business. Yeah. How can I serve you? How can I serve you? With that all said, make it a great day. Be grateful for this moment. It powers your fullest potential. Make it a point today. Go out and sincerely leave somebody in a better place. And then next day, help to show 2 people, 3 people. It could be your wife, your children, your spouse, a teammate, a stranger at the grocery store. Make it a point to go from a place of your heart. And the opportunity, don't try to think of one. It will manifest itself how to do that. Keep in mind, in that principle of going out and helping people, leaving them in a better place, keep this principle in check, in mind. Do you see me? Do you hear me? Are you listening? And you're demonstrating that you really care about them. You'll leave everybody in a better place. With that all said, have a great day. We'll see you Monday. Have a great weekend, football weekend. You know, the Wisconsin Badgers playing Notre Dame, so I'm pretty excited about that tomorrow. But in the meantime, have a great day. We are signing out.